Muscogee Media has filed a Freedom of Information Act request with the Executive Office for the United States Attorneys for information on training given to local law enforcement officers in the Muscogee Creek Nation Reservation. On February 9th, the Hughes County Sheriff posted a letter to the Sheriff's Office Facebook page. This letter announced that the sheriff will no longer be honoring the cross commission with the Muscogee Creek Nation Lighthorse, citing the sheriff's belief that the tribe either refused or was unable to assist on tribal calls in Hughes County. Sheriff Marcia Maxwell justified her actions by detailing that the sheriff's office budget had been, quote, slashed this fiscal year, and we are unable to accommodate the requirements the MCN has put forth on our officers regarding their calls for service, end quote. In addition, Maxwell asserts that native suspects arrested by the Hughes County Police are rarely prosecuted and very rarely spend any time in jail. The sheriff relates an anecdote of a suspect that she personally arrested that later, quote, walked free, end quote. Interim MCN Attorney General Kyle Haskins responded to this letter February 15th in an attempt to address some of the allegations put forth by the sheriff. Haskins details that the sheriff's decision could potentially open Hughes County officers to civil liability as they cannot be protected by the good faith exception in the performance of their duties. The interim MCN AG also points out that the duties of the Hughes County Sheriff's Office will not change if they exit the agreement, so it is unclear how it could be a cost-saving measure. Haskins also states that Maxwell had not contacted the nation with her complaints or plans to leave the agreement, and the AG's office learned of the letter through the media. Haskins' letter also asserts that the Hughes County Sheriff's Office has not accepted any of the training or meetings provided by the MCN AG's office to facilitate the implementation of the cross-deputization agreement. Haskins also addresses the accusation that a native suspect, quote, walked free, end quote, stating that the individual in question was charged with 2 criminal counts and bonded out of custody. Later, the individual violated his bond by failing to appear in court, which resulted in an active bench warrant for his arrest. This and other statements by local and tribal officials seem to call into question how local, tribal, and federal law enforcement officers and agencies interact on the ground inside the boundaries of the MCN Reservation. The U.S. Department of Justice National Indian Country Training Initiative developed an online training for officers in the wake of the McGirt decision, which consists of an online course followed by a competency test. Muscogee Media contacted Leslie A. Hagan, the National Indian Country Training Coordinator and Assistant Chief Learning Officer for the Department of Justice, for information on what this training consists of. Hagan referred Muscogee Media to Wynn Hornbuckle, Deputy Director of Public Affairs with the Department of Justice, who then referred us to Linnea Montadon, Public Affairs Officer with the Northern District of Oklahoma U.S. Attorney's Office. Montadon then referred Muscogee Media to the Eastern District of Oklahoma U.S. Attorney's Office, where we contacted Kevin McCrory and Doug Horn, but received no response. At this point, Muscogee Media filed a Freedom of Information Act request with the U.S. Department of Justice for all training materials for the law enforcement training course Criminal Jurisdiction in Indian Country Training Program, specifically training given to local non-native law enforcement in the Muscogee Creek Nation Reservation jurisdiction. Muscogee Media will have updates when we receive the documentation from this request.